Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Interesting Talks with Footprints. I hope your glass is half full rather than half empty, and you've had a very nice week so far, or a very nice weekend so far. Today's talk is about something that I talk about quite a lot with clients, with people in general. But the reason it comes up a lot is because people just don't really do what I'm going to suggest you do, and that's have boundaries. Have your boundaries, set your boundaries, and enforce your boundaries. It will save you so much hassle in life, in work, in your personal relationships, and even with yourself. You're setting boundaries for yourself, standards that you don't want to go below, and some places where you don't actually want to go to in your life or in your mind. So do like, share, leave comments, tell me what you think about your boundaries, how you've enforced them, how you found that they've helped you. Because when you discuss this, other people will hear it, and then they'll start clicking on sites and say to themselves, well, maybe Yinka's right. Maybe he's got a point. Maybe this is something I can attempt to do or become better at. Don't get me wrong. We've got some people out there that set their boundaries marvelously. And, even when you set your boundaries, you can change them. There's nothing says in law that once you've set a particular boundary, like, I don't like anybody coming to knock my house after 10 o'clock. Doesn't mean to say in the summertime you can say, well, you stand up to 2 a.m. in the morning. But they're your boundaries. And key things when setting boundaries is make it clear and concise to the people you're explaining to. Don't use complicated language. Don't let it become an argument. When somebody says to you, oh, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't like coming around your house at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, you just say to them calmly, well, I don't like it. Joe down the road might, Sarah across the road might, but I don't like people coming to my house after 10 o'clock. I like to unwind in the evening and get to bed by 12. So, you coming really late after 10 o'clock at night, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, doesn't work for me. I hope you can understand it and just put it over clearly. Don't become aggressive. Don't become emotional. Just keep things matter-of-factly, Just explain yourself. And once you have explained yourself 1 or 2 times, possibly 3 times, don't be saying it again. Don't be over apologetic and don't over explain stuff because you just don't need to. You've said what you've got to say. And that's how you set your boundary. Then when people stop listening to what you've got to say and they're still trying to come and knock your door and say 2 o'clock in the morning, then you have to say to them, look, I can't have a friendship with you if this is how you're continuing to overstate my boundaries. You're not respecting my opinion. And again, you've got options to, distance yourself from this particular person or people and, reassert yourself. Now, when you're setting your boundaries, sometimes listening to your gut, listening to your core self, your inner gut, just tells you, I don't like that. That's something I need to do something about. So this can help you set limits on what kind of boundaries you're going to have. Avoid over apologizing. And remember that when you are choosing to make a boundary with somebody, it might be uncomfortable in the beginning part of it all. Yeah? Because you're telling somebody that possibly they don't want to hear, stuff they don't want to hear. But in the long term, it's better to go through that short-term discomfort rather than having a long-term relationship with somebody and you're starting to resent them and it becomes deep, bitter, entrenched resentment, which is, not good for you or for them, because obviously these kind of things affect us physically and psychologically over periods of time, holding deep resentments. Another way to kind of look at boundaries is just look at it like a map in a way, where there's invisible borders, where people can't go into another country without having a passport or having a visa to enter into that thing. That is a similar way that you could look at your boundaries as ways to protect your borders in your head and in your life. So, in short, boundaries really do protect us. They enhance our mental health, keep us from being anxious and suffering from anxiety or panic attacks, because things that you don't want in your life are not likely to come, because you've told people, especially from people in your life, you've told people what you don't want to happen, and they've got every right to have their own boundaries. Don't get into a slagging match with anybody. Don't get into an argument with anybody when you're telling them your boundaries. But just use clear, concise language Tell them exactly what you want and what you don't want. And that's your right to do so. And what I find in lots of people's personal relationships with friends, family, and, you know, couples, because they've not said what they don't want, and they've been swallowing and swallowing and swallowing, and we, you know, shifting about in an uncomfortable situation for so long, that when they do want to say what they want to say, it comes out really wrong. It comes out like, we call it a laundry mat, a laundrette way of coming out with stuff. It just all flows out. There's no stopping. And usually people are angry, and they even say things that they didn't really want to say. So rather than get into any of those kind of stages, have your boundaries at work, with work colleagues, have your boundaries with your own personal self. That's a form of self-control. And in your personal relationships. Hopefully you found this talk very, very useful and informative, and it brings up what we can do to protect our own well-being, our own mental health, cut out anxiety in social situations, because we know the people around us are not going to do stuff that we found difficult in past parts of our life previously. So do share, like, leave comments, and take good care of yourself until 2 weeks' time. Bye for now.